afternoon, everybody. I have no idea what time it is. That is a literal statement. Our clocks went back. Our clocks went back an hour last night, so it always confuses me. It takes like a week for my body to recover. It's worse when the clocks go forward in the spring because you lose an hour. Whereas I gained an hour today, but it's bizarre because it's going dark already. And in my mind, it's like it's not. It's 4:15 here, but it feels later. And I'm so confused about what time it is for everybody else in the world. When I made my video this morning, I convinced myself that I'm now 6 hours ahead of Tennessee. But when I was editing, I wasn't sure whether it was actually 4 hours ahead. I'm so confused, so confused. Anyway, good afternoon or good morning, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world. So today we are going to be talking about 3 cases. 2 of them I think are very similar to each other. So I'm going to start off talking about a murder that happened local to me, about 30 miles away from me, on Wednesday. So Wednesday, the 26th of October. A horrible murder. So I'm going to talk about that first. And then I want to get into Leilani Simon and Megan Boswell. I think they're very similar. Their behaviors are very similar. The amount of stories that they appear to be telling are very similar. And I hope the outcomes are, well, the outcome for Quinton is very different than the outcome was for Evelyn. So there is an update in the Megan Boswell trial. So we'll talk about that. So it's 12:17 in Tien. Okay, so you are only 4 hours behind me. All right, so that's good. That's good. So Eastern time is now 4 hours behind. Because I got it in my head 5 hours for Eastern and then 8 hours for Pacific. So now it's only 4 hours and 7 hours respectively. So not 6 hours. I was completely confused this morning. I couldn't work it out. And my brain is like absolute mush. Absolute mush. Anyway, let's say a few hellos. And it's 9:18 in Arizona. So that's 7 hours. So that must be Pacific time. Anyway, let's say a few hellos. Hello, Jen. Looking forward to hearing what Michelle's thoughts are on this. Not sure which case, but yeah, I'm going to give you some thoughts. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Burlington Park from East Tennessee. Grey Wolf Paranormal from the Canadian Prairies. Sherry, Bug Love, Chris. Did Michelle get closed captions yet? I get a lot of comments on this. When I'm live and streaming from StreamYard, so I'm actually on StreamYard, and it's just transmitting via YouTube. You're seeing it via YouTube because StreamYard is I've connected StreamYard to YouTube. But the live itself is not recorded by YouTube yet. So no, I can't put closed captions on my lives when I'm streaming from StreamYard. But once this live finishes and it processes on YouTube, and it does take it a while to process on YouTube, then you can put the closed captions on just like you can any other video. So if you need to listen to this stream using the closed captions, then you're going to have to wait until the replay. And that's the case for everybody with StreamYard, using StreamYard or any streaming service, I assume. I can't find a workaround in any way, shape or form. I think if you stream directly via YouTube, then you can put closed captions on. That's my understanding. But if I stream directly from YouTube, it means I can't share my screen or do any of the things that I need to do. So there's that. It is a perfect comparison, Leilani and Megan Boswell. Scottish Lass, hello. Hugs from a wet and dreary Scotland. Yeah, it's a wet and dreary Northern England as well. Away Street. Good afternoon from the East Coast. Shell, it ain't the butterfly, it's the Tootsie Roll. Phenomenal, Mommy, Angela Gallagher, hello from Texas. Purple AJ from Ohio. Vegan Firefly. Miranda. Got notified of a live at last. Wow. Sandy from Florida. Karen. Amy from New York. Rexy from Florida. Karen. Anne. Isabel. Casey from Missouri. Karen Nelson. Janice. Laced in Chains. Shauna. Sandy. Cotton. Farmer. Tracy. And everyone else. Could go on forever. Linda's in Australia. Sally's in New Jersey. Who else have we got? Joan is from Portland, Oregon. Karen's Reborn Art Dolls and Stuff is from Saskatchewan, Canada. Julie is from Leighton Buzzard in the UK. Mary Jane is from Ohio. Another Ohio there, Tonya. Wow. Okay, South Carolina, Massachusetts. Okay, right, let's get going with this live. So, going to start with the murder of Luke O'Connor. And this is pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. Let me just share my screen and share his story. And this is somewhat personal to me. I actually found out about this murder before the news did, because my son spends a lot of time literally yards away from where this murder took place. So his girlfriend is a student in Manchester. Manchester's the biggest city in the area. It's about 30 miles away from me. And Fallowfield is a suburb of Manchester. And it's a big student area. There's lots of student halls of residence there. There's student houses, so people like landlords who've bought houses and rent them to students. It's a big student area. And for anyone who doesn't know Manchester, and I'm guessing most of you don't, because most of you are in the US, there's actually two universities in Manchester, in the city of Manchester. There's the University of Manchester, and then there's Manchester Metropolitan University, or better known as ManMet, or Manchester Met. And there's thousands of students in Manchester. So my son's girlfriend is a student at the University of Manchester, and she rents a house literally yards away from where this murder took place. So my son spends, I would say, 3/4 of his time now, when he's not at a university himself, in that location. So my son told me about this murder before it was in the news. So if I was a very good YouTuber, which I'm not, I could have got myself over there and interview people right on the scene. But I wasn't a good YouTuber. I was actually working. I was actually doing my real life stuff on that day, so I couldn't have done. But, you know, but anyway, the news came out, and my son didn't know the name of the young man that was murdered. He just knew that a murder had taken place, like the forensics people were all over it. So he was 19 years old, and it's in the centre of Fallowfield, and there's a road that goes through the centre of Fallowfield called Wilmslow Road, and that's where the murder took place. And this is Luke here, a second-year student from Manchester Metropolitan, so from ManMet. He's been named as Luke O'Connor. He was stabbed to death on Wilmslow Road as he returned home from a party in a random attack. Police attended the scene around 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning, October 26th. And my son told me about this just a few hours after, again, before the news got it. They gave the teenager CPR. He was taken to hospital, but he later died, and a knife was recovered at the scene. And the loved ones paid tribute to a bubbly, lively, beautiful boy. It's an absolute waste of a life. This is utterly tragic. As police continue to hunt his killer, no arrests have been made. They actually have now. An arrest has been made. I knew an arrest would be made because I'm going to show you the CCTV. There's nothing graphic on it. It cuts off before it gets really graphic, but I've got the CCTV footage. So we're going to play that and I'm going to slow it right down and you can actually see the guy that did it. So it was only a matter of time, very short space of time before they caught him, because unlucky for him, Manchester is one of the most heavily surveilled cities in the UK. And the UK is the most heavily surveilled country in the entire of Europe. There's CCTV literally everywhere, as well as the CCTV that's operated by local authorities. Then businesses have their own CCTV, private residences have their own CCTV, and there is a lot of crime in Manchester. So pretty much every business has a surveillance camera. So my son was even able to tell me where the surveillance cameras were. So it was obvious that this lowlife who snuffed out this boy's life for absolutely no reason whatsoever. No, Karen, it was just one person. You'll see him in a minute. You'll see him in a minute. So paying tribute to him, Luke's family said, "Our hearts yearn for the loss of Luke. We are truly devastated by this tragedy. Luke was loved by so many people and he knew how much he was loved in return. He was a second-year business management student at the University of Manchester Met University. He loved the freedom of studying and student living and studying and was loving life in Manchester." That's the thing. Manchester's got a great nightlife. I used to socialise in Manchester back in my younger days. It's probably got the best social life around. You know, it's so diverse. You can go from one style of bar and then walk down the road and go into a completely different style of bar. It's just great for students. Even students who are not at the universities in Manchester, like my son isn't, still socialise in Manchester. So it's very, very busy. But as I said, it's very heavily surveilled. When I used to go out in Manchester, I used to feel safe, very safe. I used to feel safer walking about at night in Manchester than I would in a smaller city like Preston or Bolton, which are kind of smaller. Preston's technically a city, but it's only small. Bolton's a large town. I used to feel safer in Manchester, and the police are very good as well in Manchester. The call-out times are very, very quick. There's a police presence everywhere, and they're very friendly. You know, so it was obvious that this guy, this lowlife, was going to get caught. Luke was the youngest of 3 boys in our family and was a gentle giant with big hopes and dreams for the future. His biggest dream was to travel the world, and now Luke will never be able to fulfill that dream. I like to think he will. I like to think he'll be able to travel wherever he wants now and see whatever he wants now. That's what I would like to think. That's what I like to think for my son when he was killed in 2014. So that's just something I don't have a big belief. Oh, there's a rainbow outside. Oh, that's so poignant. Oh, my word. I wish you could see it. Just a big rainbow's popped up outside. Oh, wow. It's dead bright as well. Anyway, Luke loved music, football, and was a big supporter of Liverpool Football Club. I'm a supporter of Liverpool Football Club. My family are supporters of Liverpool Football Club. So it's kind of another like mini connection, like the Liverpool family kind of thing, who he followed religiously from a young age. He had a profound impact on so many people throughout his life. He was truly one of a kind whose presence would light up any room. Luke's friends also adored him, and he adored them. They often call Luke a legend and the life and soul of everything he did. Everyone who met him truly loved him. Our lively, bubbly, beautiful boy has been taken from us, and our family are now left with a hole in our hearts that will never be filled. Justice needs to be served, as we have lost our beautiful young Luke, who was robbed of life. We will continue to honour his name for as long as we are here. His legacy will go on forever, and it absolutely will. It will. A Manchester Met spokesperson said, "We can confirm that Greater Manchester Police has informed us that one of our students died in an incident in Fallowfield in the early hours of Wednesday. Our thoughts are with the family and friends at this difficult time. We will be contacting them to offer our help and support. This is a terrible shock for our whole community, and we will be arranging for professionally trained counselling staff to support any students and staff who are affected by this incident. We cannot offer further comment at this time." I actually know someone. I know a few people who work at Manchester Met. I haven't spoken to them about this incident. They won't be. Oh, thank you for all the rainbows. You do have a Manchester in Tennessee, and there's a Manchester in New Hampshire as well. Yeah, yeah. We have the original Manchester. We have the original Manchester. You guys just stole the name. Actually, when I look around the East Coast, a rainbow for Luke. Thank you so much, Scottish lass. It's still there, it's still shining. Yeah, when I look around the names of the towns and the cities on the East Coast of America, like I'd say 3/4 of them are towns and cities from the UK as well. It really confuses me when I talk about, like with the Harmony Montgomery case, we talk about Manchester. Yeah, because I know Manchester, my Manchester so well. Oh dear. Okay, so right, let's watch this CCTV. You copycat the UK, Karen. Just because so many of you, your ancestors came from here. All right, so I'll put all the links from the news articles that I'm talking about. I'll put them in the description box of the video after. I just didn't do it before because I was lazy. All right, so let's, I'll show you this CCTV now. So this CCTV was, it was gained by ITV News. So this was exclusive on ITV News. And again, I'll share the links afterwards. Laurie lives in Ipswich, right near Essex, Manchester. Ipswich, right near Essex. Now, our Ipswich and our Essex is a county for us. Ipswich is a town. And then we've got Manchester at different sides of the country. Dead confusing. I think most people on the East Coast will have some English ancestors. If you're not a Native American, obviously, or you're not somebody whose family has migrated there later than the early settlers. All right, so this is from ITV News. Now I'm going to play it. What I've done is I'm going to play it, and then this cuts off, and then I've slowed it down, and then the rest of the article resumes. But once I've slowed it down, I've got some arrows in to show you which one is Luke. Okay, so there's nothing graphic, but you do see an argument. So that argument results in murder. So make your own assessment. This is a potential trigger warning. Make your own assessment as to whether you want to watch this or you want to turn away and come back in 5 minutes. Okay, playing now.
Happens next is too graphic to show, but these are the moments that led up to a 19-year-old student, the one here wearing a blazer, being murdered.
Okay, so what I've done, all right, so that's just the little clip.
What happens next is too graphic to show, but these are the moments that led up to a 19-year-old student, the one here wearing a blazer, being murdered.
So it cuts off right there. So I've zoomed in, so the picture isn't quite as clear, but it comes into focus, and I've pinpointed Luke. So Luke is the young man that was murdered. And you see the person that he was arguing with very clearly. It's either, it looks From the stance that they were arguing, obviously, I don't know. They could have just been talking. But they're exchanging words. And there's a couple of young women who have their faces blurred with annoying, like, grey things, because it does obscure a little bit. Now this is so zoomed in. But I guess that these are going to be witnesses. So not only is Manchester one of the most surveilled cities in the UK, there were quite a number of eyewitnesses as well. So the ones that are their identities are obscured, these guys and girls will be in court. If this young man pleads guilty, then all well and good. But if there's a trial, then I can't imagine that any attorney, any lawyer would advise this lowlife to plead not guilty, because he's banged to rights with eyewitnesses, with CCTV that shows the whole thing. I mean, we're not seeing the whole thing because it's too graphic to show. And obviously, it's evidence for a potential trial. So ITV News are not going to show it, are they? But yeah, let's watch it slowed down now and I'll talk through it. So this is Luke here. This is the lowlife here. So you can see that they were very close together. And it's almost like they're butting heads. They're not literally butting heads, but then you get obscured by the witness. There's a witness there. One of them steps forward, I think, to break them up. That looks like an exchange of some kind. It looks like a push of some kind. To me, just the way that they're walking, I know this is very slowed down. This is a lowlife here. Another eyewitness here.
He's been named as Luke.
I'll play that again. Just once more. I think this demonstrates. I mean, when the police, this is him here, when the police sharpen this image, they'll know exactly who that is, and they'll be able to follow him. Follow him for wherever he goes in Manchester. They'll be able to follow him. If he got in a car, they'll be able to follow him. It's one of the most surveilled cities in the UK. But they have made an arrest. I'll show you what Greater Manchester Police put on Twitter in a second. Let's just watch this one more time. So this is Luke here. So they're very close together there. What has he got in his hand? He's got something in his hand, but I think it's I think there's a reflection because there's a light here. There's a light source here. I think it's a knife, but obviously I don't know. It's obviously something that's reflecting. And Luke is continuing to argue with him or have words with him. They're very close. They get very close a number of times. There's a move backwards. He has got something in his hand, but I think there is some kind of reflection off that.
He's been named as Luke.
But he does have something in his hand or an umbrella. There's not many young men in Manchester that will walk about with an umbrella. I'm so sorry, Janet. Lost your 27-year-old son last Christmas from a heart condition we didn't know about. Yeah, gets to see the world. It's makes you feel very comforted that they can go wherever they want now. Who said care? It does possibly look like a knife, a skateboard. I think what it is there's something in his hand, but there's also a reflection coming off the light because the camera is facing a light source. So these things do get a little bit confusing. Right, I'm just going to play the rest of this article from ITV News, and it could well, it looks long and thin, Sassafras Kath. Yeah, I think it's something like a knife that's creating a reflection off, which makes it look longer. I thought it was a stick at first, Isabel. I'm not sure about a skateboard. I thought it was a stick at first. I don't know. It kind of doesn't matter because we know he was stabbed to death. So we know there was a knife involved. So he definitely had a knife on him. But as I said, the police will be able to sharp on that image. They'll be able to follow him wherever he goes. I said to my son, I said, that lad will be off the streets within 2 days. And hair pressed who he was. However, I am a little bit concerned because they haven't named him. So what they tend to do, they're allowed to keep you. They can keep you up to 96 hours. They can keep you 24 hours as standard. And then if they get a okay from a judge, they can keep you for up to 96 hours without charging you. But after that, they've got to let you go. And they can let you go on bail, but they have to let you go. But once they've charged you, then they tend to name you. Well, they do name you. That's what happened in Olivia Pratt-Corbell's case from Liverpool. They arrested numerous people and then they let them go while they were on bail whilst they're continuing their inquiries. And then they'll either choose to charge you at a later date or they'll drop the charges if they find that there's no evidence on you. So they've not named this guy yet. Once they charge him, hopefully they've got the right guy and they'll charge him. But I'll let you know. I'll show you in a second. Let's just play the rest of this through because there's a couple of interviews from the students who live around the area.
Connor, a second-year student at Manchester Met. His family say he was a gentle giant, a bubbly, lively, beautiful boy. On this side of the road where it happened, we have halls of residence. On the other side of the road, there are streets lined with houses. Thousands upon thousands of students live in this area.
I'm literally living like 30 metres from the scene, so it is a bit scary now.
Do you feel safe here?
No, but I never really did anyway. It feels like really grim and like just dull walking around, like knowing that's happened where you live.
It's kind of a bit crazy lately, that's what I'm saying, like. It's a bit scary times.
Less than half a mile away from the murder scene this morning, another stabbing. Police don't believe they're linked, but say they'll be upping patrols in the Fallowfield area.
That other stabbing wasn't connected. My son got some information about that as well. That was some kind of family feud, or the two families arguing or something. That wasn't connected to Luke's murder.
Few streets from here, Kelly Brown put up a bleed kit after her.
And it didn't result in a murder. It was just someone that was stabbed, but they didn't die.
Teenage son, Miro, was stabbed to death last year. The idea is to help stop bleeding before an ambulance arrives.
It's totally heartbreaking. I can't put it into words how I'm feeling for the family right now of what's gone on. Now crime's not going away. We just need to tackle it and come together to prevent it and make a change.
The police are introducing stop and search powers in the area tonight and say they're relentlessly pursuing the suspect. Kelly Foran, ITV News, Manchester.
I asked my son when this came out, I asked my son if he recognised any of these guys, and he said no. But his girlfriend lives this building here. There's a side street down there, and that's where she lives. So it's very close, very, very close. My son could name like the takeaway where they were arguing. There's a takeaway right there. That's got a camera. There's a camera across the road. So yeah, my son spends his time. He was telling me about the bar that was just down the road. So this could have been my son. It could have been my son's girlfriend. It could have been any of her housemates. It could have been anyone. Thousands of students. This seems to be random. Obviously, there was exchanging words. Luke's a big guy, probably felt safe, probably felt he could protect himself, probably engaged with this dude, who, whatever he was saying, and pulled a knife. Pulled a knife. Right, just to show you Twitter before we move on to Evelyn Boswell and Leilani. So that was the news report that I read. I don't think you can see it, but I read that news report. But I'll put all these links in the description box. Let's find it. Did share it. Here we go. Greater Manchester Police. This was just yesterday. So 3 days. It took them 3 days. Why would I point out an area where a woman lives? You've put her at risk. No, I haven't. Because Wilmslow Road is a long road. And they weren't actually interviewing people directly at the murder scene. So no, I haven't. I haven't given the street name. I haven't given the person's name. Yes, we do Halloween. We do Halloween. Cotton Farmer. So they let murderers back on the street. Do they have to pay the bail to be let go? They don't let murderers back on the street. If they charge someone with murder, then they don't let them back on the street. But they can arrest someone on suspicion of a crime. So they've not charged them yet. They just arrest them. And then they've got 24 hours to make a charge. Or if a judge says so, then they can extend that to 96 hours. So during those 96 hours, then they will interrogate them. They'll interrogate them to within an inch of their life. And there'll be a whole team behind the scenes working very, very hard to put the evidence together so that they can make a charge. So it is a little bit different than in the US. Like they arrest you. In the UK, they arrest you. And then, obviously, if they've already got loads of evidence, they'll arrest you, right? But if they arrest you on suspicion of a crime, then they've got a maximum of 96 hours to make the charge. Once they make the charge for murder, then no, they are not going to let you go. No, you will be denied bail. If it's a lesser crime, then yes, you will be out on bail and you'll await your trial. Okay, so Greater Manchester Police arrest. We're questioning. Questioning a teenager on suspicion of Manchester student Luke O'Connor's murder last week. We detained the suspect in a Fallowfield area of the city last night. So they arrested him on October the 28th, so just 2 days after the murder. We're not currently looking for anyone else, and patrols remain in the area. So they think they've got the right guy. I'll just double check to see if there's any updates on their page. Someone missing here. 17-year-old Adam. Adam was last seen on Totnes Close, area of Bedford this morning. Bedford's down south. What's Greater Manchester Police doing? Oh, they're retweeting. They're retweeting on behalf of Bedford. So if you're in Bedford area, please look out for Adam. There he is. 17 years old, gone missing. Oh, charged. There, look, 45 minutes ago. I'm glad I checked, because I checked before I came live and they hadn't charged anyone. There we go, charged. We've charged a man with the murder of Luke O'Connor in Fallowfield. Shiloh Pottinger, 19. He's 19. Oh, my word. Shiloh Pottinger has been remanded in custody and will appear in court tomorrow. Luke's family continue to be updated and supported by a specialist officer and a major incident team. So this guy's life has been snuffed out. His entire family will never, ever be the same again. He's lost out on a bright future. But also Shiloh Pottinger has made a huge mistake. Innocent till proven guilty, but they have charged him. Right, so they have charged him. He's also ruined his own life because he'll get done for murder. Pleading it down, he's not going to be able to plead it down. He's not going to be able to plead it down. But there we go. We've got the name. Shiloh Pottinger, 19, just 19 years old. Crazy, crazy. And then there's a warning here. We'd like to remind people criminal proceedings are active and nothing should be posted online that could jeopardize the defendant's right to a free trial. It's really important to refrain from speculation or commentary on social media throughout the case. Okay. I'm going to have to reshare this. I want to just reshare what Greater Manchester Police have said here. Okay. We have today charged a teenager with the murder of Manchester student Luke O'Connor. Shiloh George Pottinger of Fallowfield has been remanded in custody and will appear at Manchester and Salford Magistrates Court. Oh, I've been there. Been to Salford Magistrates Court. Not as a defendant, as a psychologist. It's nice inside there. On Monday, 31st of October, also accused of possession of a bladed article. So if that was the thing in his hand, we don't know. He was arrested on Friday, 28th of October, interviewed by detectives from our major incident team investigating Luke's death on Wilmslow Road last week. Our specially trained officers remain in contact with Luke's family. Superintendent Helen Critchley of our City of Manchester South District said, our detectives have been in liaison with the Crown Prosecution Service, who have authorised this afternoon to charge a suspect with Luke's murder, which is a significant moment in this case for all concerned. It was obvious they were going to get him. Obvious they were going to get him. Which leads me to believe that he didn't go out with the intent to murder someone. Red Smith needs to leave. What's Red Smith doing? Go away. You get a timeout for being ridiculous. I'm not putting anyone at risk. No one is at risk. You can go and look up Wilmslow Road and go and try to find the street that I pointed out. You cannot see it. You will not be able to identify. You don't know. Man alive, as if I am going to put my son's girlfriend at risk. You're just being ridiculous, Red Smith. Ridiculous. All right. Our Superintendent Helen Critchley of our Manchester of City South District said our detectives have been in liaison with the Crown Prosecution Service. Well, I've read that, haven't I? Luke and his family remain at the front and centre of our investigations. My thoughts are with them this evening, the end of what has been a devastating week. It's awful. We also felt the shock and hurt in our large student community in Fallowfield, and we are continuing to listen and address the concerns that people have spoken to about us this week. I'd like to remind everyone that criminal proceedings are active and nothing should be posted online that could jeopardise the defendant's right to a free trial. Therefore, it's really important people refrain from speculation or commentary on social media throughout the hearing of this case. Grateful for all the information. And then there's the numbers there. Again, I'll post all of these links that I'm sharing on in the description box afterwards. I know, Angie, some people do your adding, don't they? All right, so we've got a name, we've got a charge. I'm going to respect the police investigation. I'll probably find maybe some little things out, but I'm not going to share them. If it's in any way, shape or form related to the person, Shiloh, I'm not going to share them. So I'll share them. If I find anything out, I'll share them at a time when it's appropriate to do so. But in the UK, murder trials do tend to be fairly quick. So if he pleads guilty, then he will be sentenced. There's no trial, he will be sentenced. If he pleads not guilty, then there will be a trial. trials tend to take maybe between 6 months and a year. They do tend to be quite timely. So, Shiloh, do the right thing, son. Do the right thing. Save Luke's family from going through the ordeal of a trial. Your call, because you banged to rights, in my humble opinion. What did Red Smith do? Just being ridiculous, saying that I doxed my son's girlfriend by pointing out a building which you couldn't even see because it was so grainy. I said my son's girlfriend lives down there. You've no idea where that is. You've no idea who my son's girlfriend is. You've no idea who my son is. You've no idea whereabouts in Fallowfields. Wilmslow Road is a big road. Oh dear. Right. Just ridiculous. They're not, and then arguing. So they've got timed out. They're not banned. They're not blocked. They're just timed out. That's all. And they're only timed out for 300 seconds. So it's 5 minutes. And then they can come back. Everybody gets one chance. If you're silly in the chat, which most people aren't. I have the best chat. I have a really good chat normally. But just occasionally we get someone in who's silly and they get timed out. But you only get one chance. Right, I time you out, and then if you come back and act silly again, then you unfortunately you don't come back. All right, guys. Now we're going to move over. Oh, I've not put my banner on. That's not good, is it? 1 out of 400 ain't bad. I know most people are very respectful. It is a speedy trial, yeah. There's been some delays due to COVID and stuff like that. But I sat on a jury for a murder trial, not in Manchester, it was in Preston, just before. So it was February into March of 2020, just before COVID, just before we went on lockdown. And that had happened the August before. So September, October, November, December, January, February, it took 6 months to get to trial. That's all. And that was 2 defendants, pled not guilty. It was pretty obvious they'd done it. They got found guilty. But anyway, there you go. But it only took 6 months. Obviously, if it's a really complicated case, then it takes longer. Obviously, but you know, a bog standard murder that they're banged to rights, there's witnesses, there's CCTV, then there's not much to argue about. I love it when you get put on straight. Well, I don't mess about. Okay, let's move on. So if you've been following the Quinton Simon case, then you will know that Leilani, Quinton's mother, did an interview with the news, WTOC, I believe, a few days ago. I'm not addressing any of the nonsense that's gone on, any of the protests. I'm not addressing that. I did briefly talk about that yesterday in my video. Thank you, Sally, for the $5. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Scottish Lass, for the £10 in my currency. Happy Halloween. Yes, that's tomorrow. That is tomorrow. Happy Halloween to me and to you. Happy holidays. We do have Halloween. Kids do things. It's probably not as big as it is in the States. But, yeah. Is Pottinger an aspiring singer? I don't know. I do not know. But anyway, I briefly addressed stuff yesterday, very, very briefly, but I am not addressing any of the protesters or any of the exchanges that have gone on between different creators. None of my business. All right? None of my business. I don't agree with the way that the protests have gone. Everybody's got the right to protest. Everybody's got the right to free speech. But in my opinion, once it starts looking like harassment, then that's it. I'm done. But that's my opinion, and take it or leave it. But this is not the aim. I've been saying since Quinton's case came up, he's been missing since the 5th of October. His mother rang 911 about 9:40 of the morning of October the 5th, and it was said allegedly that his mother's boyfriend Daniel Youngkin last saw him at 6 a.m. He was in his pack and play. He was well and fine. Happy Halloween to everyone who's putting pumpkins and stuff in the chat. Yeah, so it's all spiral from there. And then the police came out, did a press conference. I streamed that press conference, came out just a few days later saying that they had belief that Leilani was the suspect. She was the only suspect, or they said the primary suspect. I'm not convinced that she's the only person involved, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not convinced that she's the only person involved, but we'll have to wait for the police to do the investigation. They believe he's been put in the landfill. They said they've got evidence that Leilani put him in a trash bin at a local trailer park where she used to live, so she knows very well. I wonder whether they've got some kind of CCTV footage or something. I also wonder whether Daniel Youngkin is working with them, and that's why he's been allowed to leave the state, or at least leave the area. I don't know. That's just speculation on my part. But I very, very rarely come out so early in a case and say that parent's involved. I normally sit back, observe, and, listen to what they've got to say before jumping in. People are so keen to blame parents or step parents or family members. I don't do that. But in Leilani's case, I couldn't. It's obvious, in my opinion, that she's involved in some way. Again, I'm not sure she's the only person involved, but we've got to listen to law enforcement, at least for the time being. And I thought she reminds me so much of Megan Boswell. Now, she's been likened to Casey Anthony for all of the different stories she's told. She told the police, allegedly, that his biological father, Bubba Moss, had taken him in the night. She said he might have gone out the door. And then Leilani's mother, Billie Jo, said that she believes he's drowned in the bath when they were high. Now, Billie Jo is a controversial figure. I know a lot of people hate her. I do have sympathy with her. I have to say, I do have sympathy with her. She had legal custody, obviously, but at the same time, I don't think she imagined in her wildest dreams that any of this would happen. Leilani wasn't on her own. Daniel was there. There was Leilani's brother was there. So there's other adults in the house, not just Leilani. And then the babysitter was meant to be looking after them in the day while Danny was at work. However, all that said, she's been likened to Casey Anthony, and I can see that. All we need now is Zanny the nanny, and it's a full it's a full likeness. But it's Megan Boswell that she reminds me of. So let's talk about Megan Boswell, and it's timely because Megan Boswell is it's a case that I've been following for a long time. Some of you might not know the Megan Boswell case. So just very, very briefly, I'll give you a synopsis. I'm going to play you an 11-minute interview that Megan Boswell did before she was arrested. And then I'm going to play you the news clip of Leilani again, and let's just see if those likenesses are just in my mind, in my head, or there is. And I know you can't compare a case with another. It's just, I just feel that I'm listening to Megan Boswell all over again. That's just my opinion. So, cotton farmer, Sally's family. What? Sally's family. Or Kelly's family. Kelly's family. Who are we talking about? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got videos over on Michelle After Dark about landfills and a little body like that disposed of in that way. Quite frankly and honestly, it's a good way to dispose of a little body like that because they decompose so very quickly. They're out there. They've done 9 full days at the landfill. Specially trained FBI agents have done 9 full days now. They have weekends off because they need that downtime. They need to recuperate. It's very hazardous being out there. But every day that goes by, they're looking for bones. They're looking for bones. They're looking for any sign at all. Yeah, Susan Smith as well. She's been likened to. Diane Downs is another one that I've seen her likened to. Yeah, I know, strawberry wine. Why didn't boyfriend close the open door when he left for work? I think the door that was allegedly open was between 2:45 and about 5:45. So a 3-hour window. So he did close the door at 6 o'clock. Well, if the door was ever open, this is just another story we've heard. We don't know if the door was actually open or not, do we? But the boyfriend said that he was in his pack and play at 6 o'clock when he left. I'm not buying any of it. I'm not buying any of it. I don't buy any of these stories. Will she? Will she really? Oh, wow, I'm going to have to look into that. I hope she doesn't get it. I mean, just my opinion. Thank you, Gia. $4.99. Thanks for sharing your time with us and giving your take on this sad story. Yeah, I've got a take. I've got a big take. I'm keeping some of my opinions to myself for now. Simply because it's a very new case, and I don't want to go too wild into my speculations, but I do have opinions that I've not shared at the moment. Let's see how it goes. I just want to see how it all plays out over the next few days. I would really like law enforcement to come and give us an update, but they are updating us. They're updating us on Twitter. They're updating us on Facebook, on their social media, Chatham County. So if you want to watch for updates, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, both on Twitter. I follow them on Twitter. I'm presuming they're on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook, but I follow them on Twitter. They give updates. Obviously, they can't share very much, but I'm guessing that there's nothing to update until they find something in that landfill, or they exhaust the entire search area. They said it could take weeks. They will know approximately the area that dumpster was dumped in. However, it was over a week before they actually stopped the dumpings in that area. So it's a lot of trash. It's tons of trash to go through. Anyway, Megan Boswell. All right, Megan Boswell. Let's just give you a quick update on Megan Boswell. All right. So this is little Evelyn Boswell. She's beautiful. She's so cute. Those little teeth, little baby teeth. She's so cute. She was 15 months old when she was last seen in December 2019. And her grandfather, Tommy Boswell, he was interviewed and he said he last saw her on around Thanksgiving, so November 2019. Now, I don't think this is right. I'm sure it wasn't Meghan's maternal grandfather. I'm sure it was Evelyn's maternal grandfather who reported her missing. I'm sure it was. This could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, February, right? Grandad reported her missing. Not Meghan, not Evelyn's mother, but Grandad. During the investigation, Megan Boswell, her nickname's Maggie, she's known as Maggie. Maggie Boswell provided detectives and agents with a number of conflicting statements. And she was charged. She was charged for doing that. I'm correct. Thank you. Yeah, Megan's dad. Yeah, this is people.com. They've got it wrong. I think they've just seen grandfather and assumed it was Megan's grandfather rather than Evelyn's grandfather. It was Tommy Boswell. I remember the interview. I could even find the interview if I wanted to. There's cats fighting outside. Oh, that's my cats fighting. Hold on, I've got to go outside and please hold. Please hold. Right. I'll be 1 minute. I've got to go and get the cat. I'm back. Never a dull moment in this house. So one of my cats and Cassie were having a fight in the backyard. You're bleeding, aren't you? Cassie's bleeding. Come here, let's have a look. Come here. Oh, it's in your little cut. You're all right. Good girl. You're naughty. Come on, lie down. Honestly, the cat's fine. Cassie's got a very small cut on her nose. Very small cut. The cat's fine. She ran in. Oh, dear me. Dear me. No, they're not injured. They're not injured. Jack, the poodle I used to have, nearly got blinded. He nearly lost an eye when he had a fight with one of the cats. She got him right in the corner of his eye. And there was this big, like, gash down from the corner of his eye down his nose. And he had a permanent scar. Like another fraction of an inch. And she'd have got him in the eye. But, yeah, they usually rub along perfectly fine. It's just, I don't know what triggered that. Because obviously I'm here talking to you guys. I just could hear a cat very angry in the yard. And then it dawned on me that, oh, hold on a minute, I can hear a dog as well. Anyway, back to this. Never a dull moment. Okay. So during the investigation, Megan Boswell provided detectives and agents with a number of conflicting statements. We'll look at her charges in a minute, shall we? Evelyn's body was finally found in early March 2020, nearly 3 months after she was last seen. And we found out some very disturbing details. Yeah, Jean, classic cat scratch for Cassie's nose. I'll put some antiseptic on it after this, just to prevent if there's any kind of slight infection, but it'll be fine. You won't even be able to see it tomorrow. It's just a tiny, it's just like just a claw mark. It's fine. She's just let down now, looking very sorry for herself. Okay, in December, when there was a hearing, not December, September, in September of this year, when there was a hearing, we found out some very, very disturbing details. So we already knew that Evelyn was actually found in a shed or an outbuilding, storage building, owned by Evelyn's grandfather. So on, yeah, thank you, Samantha. I was going to give a trigger warning. I'm not going to go into it. You can go and watch it. It's on this channel. You can go and watch it. But it was very disturbing how she was found. She'd been put in a trash bin, trigger warning, she'd been put in a trash bin. A forensic scientist said that, in her opinion, alive, upside down. I mean, just awful, just dreadful. I've put the entirety of that hearing on this channel, so you can go and listen to the whole thing. The audio is terrible, but if you put the closed captions on and put earbuds in, it is hearable. It's hearable and watchable, and it's awful. The details are dreadful, dreadful. And this is another comparison with that of Quinton, that Evelyn had been put in a trash bin. It is very sad, Kate, for Tommy, for Grandad. Yeah, for Evelyn's granddad. Absolutely terrible. The fact that it was on his property. You know, I know Megan had been living on his property, but when she'd been put there, whether she'd been moved there, we don't know. But presumably that place had been searched once. At least once. I don't know, but we'll find out all of those details at the trial. But the trial has been postponed, but it is another, I'll talk about that in a second, but it's another comparison that I made with Quinton's case, that Evelyn was just discarded in the trash bin. And in Quinton's case, the police have reason to believe that Quinton's body was just discarded in a trash bin. But at least Evelyn was a trash bin that was then put into the storage shed, not at the landfill. Dreadful. But just before, hold on a minute. Just before I play the interview from Evelyn, I just want to show you her charges. So, Megan Boswell, first-degree murder, child abuse, false reports to an officer. See, look, tampering with evidence, false report to an officer, abuse of a corpse. So, Leilani. Now, I know this is Tennessee. What's the other video called, please? The other video on my channel, it is, I will tell you. Hold on a minute. Let me just find it. It is called... it's called Grim Details at Megan Boswell's Hearing, 9/23, How Baby Evelyn Was Murdered and Disposed. I'll link it in the chat. It's very graphic. There's a massive trigger warning on it. It's very graphic. It's nearly 2 hours long. It is the whole hearing. Okay, so Leilani, if you're listening, if you ever listen to this, or anyone who's in contact with Leilani. So although this is Tennessee, I'm quite sure that Georgia has their own laws about false reporting to officers. Was Megan Boswell on drugs too? It's not been brought up as an issue. So whether she was on drugs, I don't know. She's got a new boyfriend or a relatively new boyfriend. So there was a boyfriend involved, but he's never been charged with anything. Her mother has been charged with things, not in direct connection to Evelyn's murder. But, oh, Letitia. There was an old man who was 79, also shot a lady of 50 in his home in Liverpool. He must be an ex-cop to be able to carry a firearm, or ex-army. Oh, you don't need a license to to get a gun in the UK. They're easy to come by, very easy to come by. You can rent them out for 200 quid. I didn't tell you that though, but you can. All right, so Leilani, if you are listening, look at all these charges. So even if they can never prove that you murdered Quinton, they can still do you for false reporting to officers if you're lying to them. Abuse of a corpse, if that's all they can get you on, that's got a hefty jail term as well, prison term. So refuse, neglect to comply, death under suspicious circumstances. I'm sure all of these have equivalent charges in Georgia. Just saying. Just saying. All right, so I am now going to play you. It's an 11-minute. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the medical examiner that had done the autopsy. That person will be saved for the trial. The trial, by the way, was meant to start in February of next year. It was meant to start in September of this year, but there's been so many continuances. Remember, Evelyn was found in March 2020. This is years ago. And Megan now has got a new lawyer. So it was meant to start in September of this year. Then it was continued until February of next year. There's going to be another continuance. There's going to be another continuance because she's fallen out with Brad Sproles, who was her previous lawyer. She's now got a new lawyer. So that's a new update. I should have shown you. It's nothing. It just says the new lawyer's name. Should have shown you when I had the charges up. But yeah, the medical examiner will be safe for the trial. The person that they had at the hearing was a forensic scientist, so a forensic pathologist expert who'd reviewed the autopsy, giving her professional opinion. So she was an expert witness who was giving her opinion. Honestly though, right, I'm going to play you this. It's 11 minutes. I'll just share my whole screen here. Which one is it? I've got so many tabs open. This one. All right, so this was with WJHL. Yet again, I'll put this in the description box after. Everything that I share in the description box after. So this is WJHL. Those of you who are following the Summer Wells case, you'll know this channel. They followed the Summer Wells case religiously, relentlessly throughout the entire 16 and a half months that Summer's been missing. But they also followed the Megan Boswell case. So they had several interviews with Megan. This one is, it was February 25th. So this was just a few, or maybe a week, closer to 10 days to 2 weeks before Evelyn was found. Now, bear in mind, Evelyn was found in a trash bin. An expert witness said that she was alive when she went in that trash bin, wrapped up in a bag, awful details, in a storage shed owned by Megan's dad. Okay. Did I see Peter Hyatt's statement analysis? Of who? Amy Newman. Of Leilani or Megan? Megan Spurs. Yeah, Angie. Smirking face makes me mad. And then turning on the waterworks. So a lot of you, if you've been following the Boswell case, you'll know this interview, but you might not have seen it for quite some time because obviously it was back in 2020. But just sit back, listen to it, and kind of just think, is there any parallels here with what we're seeing from Leilani? And yeah, I'll mute out. I'll need to mute out on this. So I'll do that right now.
She's very sweet. She loves everybody. She's never been mean ever, which I'm very thankful for. She's just a really good-hearted baby in general. Like textbook how you want a baby to be, like has hit every milestone early, you know what I mean? Well, when she was 6 months old, she actually quit a bottle on her own and went straight to a sippy cup. She started walking probably around like 10 months. That was kind of hard though, because she's like not like small as in like underfed, you know what I'm saying? But like she was a preemie when she was born. She's like a smaller baby and she kind of had trouble like balancing her weight, but she finally got the hold of it. She's starting to say a lot of words and, you know.
Tell me what kind of things she likes to do. What kind of is she into any sort of TV shows?
Only Baby Shark. We went to Texas to see her dad, Ethan, and she slept the whole way there. Like I had to make her wake up to eat and stuff like that. And that's like a 24-hour drive there.
So let's get into the last time you saw her. Tell me what that time was like and when that was.
Well, actually, I want to talk about that. I've told TBI where to find her in Mendota. My mom took her to a campground and a silver camper, and if they don't go tonight, I'm going to go find her myself. Because I've told them, and they're not really, like, taking it seriously, and if they don't go tonight, like, I will go myself and go get her.
Tell me about the last time, though, that you saw Evelyn. Tell me what you guys did and when that was.
We went to go out to eat, and then my mom came and got her. She was wearing a little hot pink tracksuit with a matching bow and little matching shoes.
And was this December 20, like, right after Christmas?
A little bit before Christmas. My mom, like you can ask her, is a very vindictive, manipulating person. And yes. She basically like threatened me the whole time that she was gone.
Do you know who has Evelyn right now?
She dropped her off somewhere in Mendota at a silver camper. But my mom would always say the person, not like people, plural.
So there is a person that has her in Mendota.
They're not taking me seriously. TBI isn't, because I've not fully told them. I've been like, hey, like my mom camped out at Mendota, you want to go check them out, but I've never been like specifically, hey, she's like a silver camper, because my mom did threaten me, like, you know, if I told anybody. I'm not gonna get into that, but she did.
So your mom has had Evelyn the whole time, or the whole time,
or the person that is in Mendota has had her the whole time.
Tell me why you let your mom take care of her. Did she take her from you that night? And
well, she was just supposed to babysit her because I was going to work.
And then when did you know that something was wrong?
Well, whenever, like, she picked me up Wednesday, and I told her, like, hey, they're doing a press release about the Ambler thing, and then she freaked out, and that's why they couldn't find her. Like, nobody talked to her for days until they arrested her. She just kind of poof, gone. But she kept trying to take me to Mendota, and I kept asking. I was like, oh, are you taking me to Evelyn? And she would never tell me yes or no. And I was like, well, if you're not, I'm just calling my police station, come and get me. Like, I'm not playing these games with you.
And so tell me the day that you dropped her off with your mom to let her baby.
And I'll just say quickly there, because I am meant to stop these news reports for fair use, but I just say that for those not familiar with this case, a previous story of Meghan's was that Ethan had Evelyn. That was a previous story. Ethan was in Louisiana, I believe, in the military. So there's no way in the world that he could have had Evelyn. So he was questioned, you know, exactly like Quinton's biological father was questioned. You know, went there. Do you have Quinton? No, I haven't seen him for months. Same thing. Go to Ethan. Do you have Evelyn? No, haven't seen her for months. And then she changed her story to my mother took her. And I couldn't tell anyone because my mother would threaten me. Absolute nonsense. Yes, mother was arrested. Mother and mother's boyfriend arrested, but not directly in connection to Evelyn's murder. So crazy. Anyway, let's listen to the rest of this.
Was there anything off about your mom that day? Did you have any, suspicion that she was going to take your child?
No. Well, I called her, and she was just like, "Oh, she's safe," like, that kind of thing. And then she started threatening me, which, like I said, I'm not going to get into like everything she threatened me with, because I'm just not. But
obviously, now that you believe you know who has her, what do you have to say to them?
To just bring her back. I just want her back. That's all I want. I've been so long without her, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, why didn't you report it missing earlier?" Because my mom threatened me, and I just want her back. That's all I can think about is how much I just want her back.
She even squeezes a tear out here. I mean, probably she does want her back because she realizes she's going to get arrested and it's going to come. But it sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Sounds familiar. Bad acting. Sounds familiar. Same old story. Yeah. How many times have we heard this? How many times have we heard this? I mean, this is the thing, I say, don't instantly blame the family. Don't instantly blame the parents. But then when you get interviews like this, when a baby's missing, you get interviews like this and you think, oh, I remember this. I remember watching this when it was new, and you just can't believe these stories. It was obvious that she was lying. What the truth was at the time that this was aired, we didn't know the truth. Evelyn was still missing. But 2.5 years down the line, knowing what we know now, how fake was she? And of course, she's pled not guilty. And technically, she could get off with this. This could be another Casey Anthony. She could get off with this. I just hope they've got solid evidence that she was the one that did it. We know Evelyn was murdered, but what she's going to try and argue, what her defense is going to try and argue, is that it wasn't her that did it. So anyway, I'll let this play through to the end now. There's not much more to go.
About when you had the indication that she was missing and something was seriously wrong.
Just when she left and took off and just didn't answer her phone.
Talk to me about why your dad made that report.
Because he was talking to my mom the night before, and he was like, "Oh, well, if she doesn't come home, I'm going to call." And she was going on, "Well, you're going to regret this. Like, I'm going to have to leave and never be able to come back. You will regret this."
Was there a reason that, that you didn't make the call and it was your dad?
Because mom kept threatening me if I made the.
Sorry, guys, I did say I was going to let this play through. Just another thing that some people have speculated here, that Evelyn was found in Tommy's shed on Tommy's property. And there is some argument or some speculation, and I think there's some merit in this, that they tried to set Tommy Boswell up by putting Evelyn in his shed. They've tried to set him up. And when Megan's mother argued, because they had this really fractious relationship, Evelyn's mother and father had split up, and they'd had this really fractious relationship for years. When she said, "You'll regret this," I can't help but think that that was when they decided to put Evelyn in Tommy's shed to set him up. But that would mean that Angela Boswell, Megan's mother, knew what had happened. We don't know. We don't know yet. Those kind of details will come out at the trial. We don't know yet. There's a fractious relationship not only between Megan's mother, Angela, and her father, Tommy, but also between Angela and Megan. So there's a lot of lies going on. And I think the only person who was truthful was Tommy. So there's a lot of merit in that speculation that they did try to set him up. Right, I will let this play through now. Okay.
The call.
You said that you've had some issues with your mom in the past. Was there a reason you decided to let her babysit her that night? I know that you said that you had.
Well, she's my mom. I wanted to trust her.
Sheriff Cassidy told the media on Friday, I was there, that you were giving conflicting statements.
Because I wouldn't necessarily, I was trying to protect my mom, maybe in hopes, oh, well, she'd just tell them where Evelyn was, but obviously she's not going to.
So now you're coming out and you're saying this is the honest truth, that you know where she is.
I know she has to be in a campground in Mendota with somebody. And Mom told me that they had a silver camper, and that's all she would tell me.
Are you cooperating as much as you can with TBI and the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department?
I am.
But just tell me, how so are you, constantly on the phone with them, talking about the tips, anything like that?
Yeah, and I've looked into stuff online myself. Like, people are like circulating pictures around me, like, oh, this is Evelyn, you know what I'm saying? And like that kind of thing. But no. And like Saturday, nobody would answer me, and I blew all their phones up. And every chance they've let me be up there, I have been up there.
And Wednesday will be a week since the Amber Alert went out. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
I just don't know if the person who has her is like maybe scared that they're going to get in trouble. But they won't. They just bring her back.
What are you thinking about her current status right now? Do you think she is okay? Do you think she's being taken care of? And what is your message to authorities right now? To the TBI, Sullivan County, and all of the sheriff's departments and any authority that's working on this case?
Just that if they don't take it seriously, what I just said, I will go find her myself. They've told me before they'll arrest me for tampering with evidence. And I told them on my phone, I was like, I don't care if you arrest me for tampering with evidence. If you go up there, I'm going to tonight.
Do you have a message to the public?
Don't stop until she's back. They need to stop reporting like psychics for one. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Because that just wastes the TBI's time when they could be actually trying to find my daughter. Instead, people are like, oh, well, this lady did a tarot card reading. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that just takes away from the time of like them actually searching for my daughter. I'm just happy that people are coming together to try to find her. Because the main important thing right now is the baby. I'm just happy that people are trying to find her.
Have you been in contact with her father, Ethan?
Yeah. He's actually trying to get leave approved right now to come up here and try to, help find her.
What is her relationship like with him?
She's only been around him a couple times because when he was in the Army.
And what is your relationship like with him? Do you keep in contact with him?
Well, yeah, we have a kid together. You know what I mean?
Did you notify him when you knew something was wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have multiple social media profiles? Is one that we think of.
Because I break phones a lot and I forget the password. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really bad about remembering passwords. Now I have them all set to one, but, up until that point, I just, I just couldn't remember the password to them. So I'll just make a new one when I got a new phone.
Tell me why you wanted to come out today and speak with us.
Just to talk about Evelyn, and, if TBI doesn't go find her or not, I'm hell-bent on going myself. And that's the truth, one way or another.
This is a really big case, and a lot of people have a lot of questions surrounding this. Is there any other message that you want to send to anyone?
Well, if you don't have tips for sure, because over 370 some tips have been called in and they've just not panned out. Like, I appreciate people trying to help, but like, also that's wasting like TBI's time because they have to check out every single lead that's called in.
Obviously it's been a long time since you've seen her. Are you worried about that? About reuniting with her?
No, because I love her. I know she loves me.
And do you think she's been taken care of well in the time that you've missed with her?
I hope she has been.
Tell me what the first things you want to do with her.
I'm just going to hug her and not let her go.
Wow.
Like, they'll have to pry her from my arms. Literally, because I'm just not going to let her go. Probably going to sing Baby Shark to her. And just hug her and not let her go. My favorite thing is the first time she kissed me, Lord, I cried for over a week because she would pull my hair and I would just let her do it, because I love her. Like, I didn't want to make her cry or be upset in any way. And she would pull chunks of my hair out. And she was in her walker one night and like she dropped her sippy cup and I bent down to pick it up. I thought, oh, she's going to pull my hair. She put my face close to her and she kissed my cheek and I just like cried about it for over a week. So I was like, oh my God, I'm the first person that she's kissed. You know what I'm saying? Just like little stuff like that. I love her to death and I would hate to have missed out on anything especially because of my mom.
And obviously, you know, you told me you talked to your mom a couple of times throughout this, and each time did she give you any update on Evelyn?
She just told me that she was safe.
So when was the last time you talked to your mom? Like physically, just the two of you on the phone, or
Wednesday, the 19th.
tell me any details about that conversation?
I mean, she was just going off on me and wanting to go to Mendota. And I kept telling her, I was like, if Evelyn's in Mendota, just take me to her. I will take her up there. We can just end this right now. Like, let's make this simple. Just give me my child back right now before this gets blown out of proportion. And she would never be like, oh, yeah, I'm taking you. She'd just be like, you don't need to talk to them. I don't want you going up there, and like stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to take me to her, pull over, and I will have like somebody on Sullivan County's end come get me to go up there and talk to them.
What is your biggest fear right now?
I have a lot of them. Just that I don't know, that maybe they won't find her tonight, or, you know, maybe they don't find her tomorrow. Maybe it's weeks from now before they find her. You know, the people aren't going to be like, oh, well, like, I'm not giving her back because I've kept her for 2 months. This is my child now. Well, still, I'm just worried that they're going to be angry about that. You know what I mean?
No, right.
She just needs to come home.
Exactly.
She's been away from her mom for long enough.
Oh, I know there are a ton of social media rumors. So if there's anything that you wanted to set straight that I'm not aware of, I will. This is
Gypsies are not a cult. They've been asking people if there's like a gypsy ringleader, and like, I mean, like, we're not like ringleaders. We're not like out here kidnapping babies or anything like that.
So would you describe your family as a gypsy family?
Well, yeah. And like, my dad's very proud of that, you know, but he's just mad about all the rumors going around, like trashing them because like, we're not a cult, you know what I mean?
And now that your mom is back here and are getting ready to be back here in Sullivan County, what do you hope comes out of that? Obviously, she and her, what I believe is her boyfriend, was arrested.
Well, I doubt she's going to tell the truth, but hopefully she does, for Evelyn's sake. Not even for her sake at this point. Just if she hears this, I hope you tell the truth for her sake. Like, that is your grandbaby. It's went on long enough.
Yeah, I echo the sentiment that has been put forward in the chat. I don't know how many times I've watched that interview over the last 2.5 years, but when the details came out in September, those horrific details came out, I went back and I watched that interview again, and I went back and I watched the interview. Somebody said it in the chat that there was another lie she told. She said that she couldn't take a polygraph because she was pregnant. And then the cops came out and said, we don't even have a polygraph here. It was just like, she claimed she was pregnant by her new boyfriend. She wasn't pregnant. It was just all nonsense for the camera. Nonsense for the camera. I think she comes from a gypsy lineage. Like, her dad, Tommy, has a property, I think it's a few acres of property, and a business. So I think he comes from a gypsy lineage, but not living the life of a traveller. So I don't even know why she said that. Yeah, they're not real gypsies. Yeah, Tommy Boswell has got a property. He's got land. So I don't know. I don't even know why she said that. Just absolute nonsense. Exactly, Debbie. Yeah, Diane Downs. Diane Downs. Somebody said in the chat that I just want to slap her. Can someone slap her? And I feel like that when I see any interviews with Diane Downs. She has just got the face that you just want to slap. But not inciting violence in any way, metaphorically speaking, of course. All right. So for those of you who have never seen that interview, or who have saw it a long time ago, and that's been a big refresher, can you kind of see how I'm thinking that Leilani sounds like her? And I know we've not had an 11-minute interview, and Megan had given a number of different interviews. Susan Smith, yeah, is another one. Yes, her mother is as crazy as she is. Yeah. But as the Quinton Simon case progresses, I'm just getting more and more Megan Boswell vibes. Like there's similarities with these two cases. And now you've seen that, I'm going to play Leilani's interview. Now, this came out on WTOC and they split it up into like little snippets, which was annoying. They did it over like about 3 hours, like different broadcasts. And thank you, Amanda, for the £10. Billie Jo's face said it all when Leilani was interviewed. Yeah, people focused on Leilani's words, but I'm sure it was lies. Billie Jo shows so much in her silence. She knows what happened. I believe that. I do. I believe that too. Thank you for the £10, Amanda. And I think you're right. In my opinion, of course, and that's just your opinion, but in my opinion, you're right. So let's play Leilani's interview now. All right. So this is WTOC. Yet again, this is another article or video that I'll put in the description after the live is finished. Now, as I said, they split it up into several interviews and then they did this kind of longer piece. So we've not got an interview with Leilani yet. She might do one, who knows, that's 11 minutes long. We've not got that much detail yet. But of course, this case is only coming into its 4th week. Quinton was reported missing on the 5th of October. We're not even a month into it yet. And I think there's a long way to go in this case. So I'm going to start about here. This is someone called Shay, the woman here, who did the interview. So I'm going to play this. There's some kind of talking. There's little snippets of Leilani and then some talking and then another snippet of Leilani. I'm sure that the majority of you have maybe seen this if you've been following the case anyway. But I think what Amanda said in her super chat just then, I think is very important. That look at Billie Jo. Look at Billie Jo's face, right? Everyone focused on Leilani, but look at Billie Jo's face. And I believe, my opinion, that Billie Jo does know more than what she's saying. But she's stuck, as I said in my video yesterday, I believe she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I really do. I have some sympathy with her because she's in just a dreadful position. That if she does know what happened, and in some ways she's trying to protect Leilani, and then she's got Quinton to think about, and I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. And then I go through a period where I have no sympathy with her. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them where I keep kind of switching. Samantha, yeah, broken but loyal, I think is a good way to describe it. Sometimes I get frustrated and I think, just Billie Jo, why can't you just say? But at the same time, even if she does, what does it actually mean if Leilani's denying it and the police don't have enough evidence yet, probable cause for an arrest? She's truly stuck between a rock and a hard place. She really is. Anyway, let's play this. I'll mute out and then I'll come back and have a chat about it.
Outside of the Simon home, Shay, what did she talk to you about?
Leilani and I spoke about a number of things, including what she remembers from the morning she first reported Quinton missing to what life has been like as the days have gone on, still with no sign of Quinton. I talked to Leilani as well as her mother, Billie Howell, who were both just distraught over Quinton's disappearance. They say they've been harassed in the days and weeks since Quinton disappeared, but Leilani wants everybody to know that she's not running away.
I'm here. I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
Chatham County Police have repeatedly said that though they've named Leilani the prime suspect in her son's disappearance and death, they don't believe she's a flight risk. Leilani says that she and her mother, Billie Howell, spend their days in the backyard of their home because it's too difficult to be inside with reminders of Quinton and the fact that he's gone.
Every day that goes by is less tears and more anger, not knowing what's happening, if that's even understandable. You wake up every day angry, hoping that you're going to get a phone call, and that phone call just doesn't come.
CCPD and the FBI haven't released many details in the case and haven't said why they believe Quentin is in a landfill. Police say they're doing that to preserve any potential court cases down the line. Leilani and Billie tell me that they get their new information about the case from watching the news and that they feel all they can do now is hope.
We want something great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive. We want him back in our arms, holding us. That's what we want. We're just hoping that he's in somebody's house and they're feeding him, and we're hoping that, you know, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior. But it's not. That's their best hopes at this point.
Chatham County Police say they have no reason to believe that Quentin was abducted or kidnapped, and they have evidence that suggests he was placed in a dumpster and that his remains are in the landfill that they're currently searching. Leilani Simon hasn't been charged with anything at this time, but police say she is the only suspect in her son's disappearance. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. Live in Chatham County, Shay Schrader, WTOC News.
Yeah, like I said, we don't have an 11-minute interview with Leilani. I'd very much like there to be. And in my opinion, again, I echo the sentiments in the chat that there's no real tears. Like, I think she's upset. I do think she's upset, but she's upset for herself, in my opinion. And some of the things she said, the stories that she said, you know, I hope he's alive and well, and, you know, I hope someone's looking after him. It's just another Megan Boswell, in my opinion. But Billie Jo, Leilani, yeah, Leilani. But Billie Jo, I mean, her face, she, you know, instead of comforting Leilani when she was crying, and I'm doing air quotes, no, I'm not on camera, but I'm doing air quotes, when she was crying, she's not comforting her, is she? You know, you'd think that a mother whose daughter had lost their child, and he was genuinely lost, and he was maybe being stolen by somebody. She's not comforting her, is she? She turned away. She turned her face away. And there is another section of this interview that they didn't put in here, where Billie Jo kind of just sits and puts her head in her hands, and it's very telling. The way she looks is very telling, and as I said, I do think Billie Jo is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And yeah, she does. I caught that as well. I mean, I'm not very good at facial expressions, and she was side on as well for some of it. But you kind of think, does she look angry, disgusted? There's emotion on her face that isn't sympathy for Leilani. Again, that's just my opinion. And I think she either knows the truth or she doesn't. I mean, consider this. What if Leilani has told Billie Jo a whole range of different things, and Billie Jo doesn't know what the truth is? Billie Jo just knows that she thinks Leilani's done it, or Leilani and Daniel together. What if that's the truth? That Billie Jo is as frustrated and obviously much more upset than any of us, because it's her daughter and her grandson. But she's seeing what we see. Just imagine that. She's seeing what we see, but then she's having to live with her. And another thing that I'm still pondering, and I think it's very possible, is that Billie Jo is keeping Leilani talking to hope that she'll spill the truth that she doesn't know. And she's hoping that Leilani's going to come out and tell the truth. And then she'll shop her to the cops or secretly record her or something like that. You know, and I've tried to put myself into Billie Jo's position, and I can't imagine what that must feel like. It's just must be the worst feeling in the world to know that your daughter has done something, even if she's not the sole person that's done something, but you know she's got some guilt, you know she's wrong, you know that your grandchild is dead because of her. And what would you do in that position? What would you do? And I kind of think, you know, it would take some guts and nerve and just absolutely dreadful position, but keep her talking. Keep her talking. And hope she tells the truth. You know, to keep her talking and record her. I like to think that's what I would do. But this is in full view of everybody. And I might be wrong. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I might be wrong. You know, she might know. She might know and be covering up for Leilani. She might know and be saying, look, you know, we've just got to bide our time. And we've just got to come out and pretend we're upset. But Billie Jo's emotion looks genuine to me. Leilani's doesn't, but Billie Jo's does. I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong before. I've been wrong many times before. But she looks truly broken. She looks truly broken, in my opinion. Whereas Leilani doesn't. Leilani's acting. Billie Jo isn't. But how do you choose exactly, Trixie Star? How do you choose between your daughter and your grandson? I think in that position, I'd choose my grandson because my grandson is the one that's dead. And I'd want justice for my grandson. And if my daughter had done it, I'd shop her. As soon as I thought she'd told the truth, I'd shop her to the cops. And I'd secretly record her and I'd shop her to the cops. That's what I would do. Because Quinton is the victim here. And it's horrible. It's horrible to know that your daughter's going to spend potentially the rest of her life in prison. But at the end of the day, there's got to be justice for a little baby. And that's all there is to it. But I don't know, guys. I mean, in my opinion, this is going to be another Megan Boswell. And this will go on and on and on. And I think this will go down in the history books of true crime as another Megan Boswell, another Casey Anthony. I know Casey Anthony was dear me, good Lord. Have you ever watched the Casey Anthony trial? Oh. But the prosecution made mistakes and couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Casey was guilty. And my fear for the Megan Boswell trial, when it eventually happens, that the same will happen again. But it's another Smith, it's another Downs, it's another one of them. And this is going to go on and on and on. It really is. It was despicable. It was. I think the defense ran rings round the prosecutors. And I would say I'm going to go and watch Casey Anthony's trial again, but I don't think I could stand it, to be honest. I've watched it through once. I don't think I could stand to do it again, to be quite honest. Exactly, Dixie. Thank you. That's what I've been talking about. I don't know whether you've just come in. A lion reminds me of Megan Boswell. I'm a local, and yeah. As soon as I saw this case, and talk came out about being put in a trash, And I thought instantly, Megan Boswell. I even did a video. I think it's on Michelle After Dark. I even did a video, and the title is Leilani Megan Boswell 2.0. It wasn't terribly well viewed, but it was very, very early in the case. And I don't think people were had really invested too well into the case. But I have got a Quentin Simon playlist over on Michelle After Dark. So I have been making Quentin videos right from day one, I think. Day 1 or 2, maybe. So I have got a playlist there, and I am going to follow this through. And with every case I do, I follow it through to the end, the absolute end. Oh, the Lucy Letby trial. Oh, I know that case. Let's, for those who don't know that case, let's just look up some details on that. Okay. Yeah. Let's just share this. This is bizarre. This is a UK case. So UK, it's annoying. It's annoying for us in the UK. It's annoying that we don't get the same coverage in the true crime community. Like, UK cases don't seem to take off. Like, I covered Olivia Pratt-Corbell from Liverpool. And I was the only person, apart from the news, like news channels, I was the only person covering it that I ever saw. And if that had been a case in the US, that would have really taken off. But it didn't. It didn't take off. And they've got a guy in custody. His trial's coming up in a few months' time. I don't think we've got a date for him. But Lucy Letby is another one of these bizarre cases. I might have to do a video on Lucy Letby. I'll wait to see what the outcome of it is. So this is Lucy Letby. She reminds me of Beverly Allitt, which is another UK case. I did Beverly Allitt in Crime Story Sunday, which is on this channel. I've not done a Crime Story Sunday in a couple of months now, but I will resume Crime Story Sundays. There's just been so many cases that I've been following and so many updates. I've just literally not had the time. But anyway, Lucy Letby is another of these nurses that kills babies, like Beverly Allitt. So the trial is ongoing. When was this? This is 2 days ago. A nurse described seeing Lucy Letby standing by the incubator of a premature baby after his heart rate and oxygen levels dropped. A murder trial is heard. The baby, known as Charles C., is alleged to have been the second infant murdered by Miss Letby in June 2015. Miss Letby is accused of killing 7 babies and attempting to murder 10 others at the Countess of Chester Hospital. So this, again, is another case quite local to me. Not massively local. Chester is, I don't know how many miles away Chester is. It's in the same kind of geographical region. It's in the northwest, but it's not as close as Liverpool or Manchester. Chester's lovely, by the way. It's a lovely town. Lovely old town. So she's got 22 charges. The trial is ongoing. On Friday, Manchester Crown Court heard Miss Letby's colleague, Sophie Ellis, who's been a newly qualified nurse at the time and was caring for Charles C. on the night shift before the baby died. Giving evidence from behind a screen, Miss Ellis said Charles C., who weighed just 800 grams at birth, was fed for the first time at 11 p.m. on June the 13th. And she left the room briefly to go to the nurse's station, but was then alerted by an alarm from the baby's monitor. When asked what she saw when she returned to the room, she told the court, "I seen Lucy standing by the incubator." She said Miss Letby told her the baby's heart rate and oxygen levels had dropped, but she could not recall what she was doing at the time. But anyway, she's accused of killing babies and the trial is ongoing. But there's no televised trials in the UK. Can't even do photography in court. Excuse me. Another nurse told the court she remembers going to Charles C's incubator after he deteriorated. She said, when I first approached the incubator, Lucy was already there. I don't know if anybody else was present or not. Charles C died just before 6 a.m. on 14th of June, the court heard. A court order prohibits reporting the identities of the surviving and dead children. The case is adjourned till Monday. So the trial is ongoing. Are all the babies preemie tiny? I don't think so. I don't know whether we've got the details of all the ages of the children. Don't know, honestly. I'd have to go and hunt through to see. I mean, the trial's ongoing, so I don't know whether we've got all the details of all the children. We've got child B. So there's 22 charges to go through. So as of Friday, they were only up to child C. So I don't know. Jury was told later that month another child D died on the unit. It's a good question. I don't know if they're all preemies. Evil. Yeah, Samantha. Evil. I mean, obviously, you know, she's innocent till proven guilty and all of that stuff. But yeah, there you go. There you go. Evil walks among us. Evil walks among us. Oh, I watched a film on Netflix. Speaking about killer nurses, I watched a film on Netflix yesterday called The Good Nurse, if anybody's ever seen it. I thought it was interesting. It was a bit slow. It was interesting, but that was about a nurse that was killing people by, he was putting insulin and another drug inside fluid. You know, when people are given fluids in a bag, he was putting like a little prick in them and then injecting insulin into them, and then they die this slow death, and he was watching them die. And it's a true story. It's based on a true story. What was his name? Charlie Cullen. So I hadn't heard of the story before. It was just something that came up in the suggested things on Netflix, and I watched it. So I'll go and find out that. It was an American case. I'll go and find that. If anybody's heard of that case. I think they were all premature. She may have been working in the neonatal unit. They were all prem. Okay. All right. So all preemie babies. Why would you do that? I mean, why would you do that? There's been a few though. There's been a few. There's another one as well. Ben someone. I can't remember his name. Ben Geen or Green. I can't remember his name. Anyway, yeah. So there's been a few killer nurses. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day because Charles Cullen, thank you. Yeah, Charlie Cullen. Yeah, I need to go and look up that case. See what happened. All right, guys. Please finish with your rainbow for Luke. My son is living in uni halls there, and I want to send our love and prayers to his family and hope they get justice. Yeah, the rainbow's gone. It's dark outside now, but let's end by sharing Luke's photograph. Yeah, if you were in at the beginning, can't remember who said that. If you were in at the beginning, my son's girlfriend lives very close to where he was murdered. She lives in one of the student accommodation, very close to where Luke was murdered. So this is somewhat personal to me. My son spends a lot of time there. He didn't know Luke. He didn't know any of the people who've been interviewed on the news. But it could have been my son. Could have been my son's girlfriend. It could have been anybody, the thousands of students. So if we can put some rainbows in the chat for Luke, I think that might be a good way to end this. Put some rainbows in the chat for Luke. What do I know about Munchausen's by proxy? A little bit. I did the Crime Story Sunday episode on Beverly Allitt way back. It was one of the first ones I did. And I talked a little bit about Munchausen's syndrome by proxy in that, just a little bit. I know a bit. Thank you for the rainbows. I think it's a good way to end this. All right, guys, I'm losing my voice. I think I've got COVID. I'm not ill as such, but my daughter has got COVID. Oh, look at all the rainbows coming through now. My daughter's got COVID for the second time. And I spent some time with her last week and I felt a bit off for the last couple of days. I've not done a test because, I don't know, you have to pay for them now. And there's no need to isolate anymore. They've got rid of all of that in the UK now. I don't know what it's like where you live, but we don't have to isolate. We don't have to tell anyone. So... yeah, I think I've got COVID. I had it in 2021 and I feel exactly the same as I did then. So losing my voice a little bit. But anyway, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm not gonna take a turn for the worst. I'll be fine. He is a handsome lad, Marie. You're absolutely right. His whole life ahead of him. I feel so bad for his family. I mean, I can just empathise with his family. And I hope that Luke... he does travel the world. That was his dream, to travel the world, and he can go wherever he wants now. He can go wherever he wants. All right, guys, I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much for being nice and respectful, apart from just the one person I had to time out who didn't come back. Trixie Star, I noticed you hopped in there and did some moderating, so thank you so much as always. Thank you for the super chats, super stickers. It's all very much appreciated. I've got long COVID as we speak. Yeah, I've never quite recovered. I was diagnosed with long COVID. It's not funny, is it? It's not funny at all. But anyway, I'll be fine. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing. And if you see any sightings of Don Wells, as I said in my video this morning, I'm looking for that first sighting of Don Wells. It's a bit silly, but I just want to post the first sighting of Don Wells. He's released from jail today. So yeah, how long will it be before he's living it large on YouTube? Anyway, right, I'm waffling now. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.